Well, it's been a while since we went out to the other coast of the United States to check in on Michael Snyder and see about the movies and what's playing where, when, and how. And, there are no movie theaters, so I don't know how the movies are getting out there, but Michael will tell you. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Alex, and hi, listeners. I hope you're all staying safe. I hope you're all staying healthy. And, we're watching things on demand. We're watching things from the streaming services, and you got to do a little hunting sometimes via Google search. But you can find these movies. One that I'm sure you can find with ease today, I haven't had a chance to see yet, but it looks like a lot of fun. It's called Extraction. It's an action movie on Netflix. I just want to give you a heads up because it was written by Joe Russo, one of the filmmaking Russo brothers, best known for writing and directing Captain America Winter Soldier, which is my favorite Marvel movie, if I had to pick one. They also did Civil War and the Avengers films that we just saw in 2018 and 19. Here's a disclaimer. Neither Russo directed this film, but Extraction does star Chris Hemsworth, Thor himself, and he plays a mercenary tasked with rescuing a drug lord's son. And I hear this is supposed to be a willfully meaningless blast, which is okay sometimes when you need a little entertainment. And it's got some wild John Wick style violence, and I hear all of that is worth the price of the stream, and I am planning to check it out. But movies I've seen that you can rustle up this weekend include True History of the Kelly Gang, and which is, we know about Ned Kelly. There have been movies about him in the past, an Aussie outlaw. And this is sort of a punk rock retelling of his life and times. And it stars 1917's George McKay, who was so good in that film. And here he's really solid as Ned. Essie Davis from The Babadook plays his hard-ass mom, who does what she has to do for her family to survive, and especially for her to survive. Russell Crowe, a little on the portly side here, as a lawless bushranger who kind of serves as Ned's mentor of sorts. Nicholas Hoult, who was like the Beast in the X-Men prequels, he's a frenemy, a constable on the other side of the law. Charlie Hunnam from Sons of Anarchy plays an arch nemesis. I mean, this cast is solid, and the movie itself is very kind of grime-encrusted. And speaking of violence, this is violent. And I would call it postmodern myth-making. And it's based on a novel of the same name by an Aussie writer named Peter Carey. And this novel won the 2001 Booker Prize, but the project was never turned into a film until now. In the course of the movie, Ned finds out he's descended from cross-dressing Irish bandits known as the Sons of Sieve, and he decides he's going to take on the British occupying forces by reviving the brand and unleashing hell on them. It's directed by Justin Kurzel, and there's kind of an anything-goes flair here, and I was caught up in it. I appreciated the performances, and, if I wasn't enraptured, I still thought it was a solid piece of movie-making, and I could recommend it. On a lighter note, or maybe a deeper note, or a more down-to-earth note, there's To the Stars. And this is a tender, well-meaning, and kind of familiar look at a misfit teenage girl growing up in a small, wind-whipped, oppressive Oklahoma town in the 1960s. Looked pretty desolate out there. And Iris is bullied by her classmates. And she's belittled, along with her dad, by her bitter, self-absorbed mom. But then a friendship develops with Maggie, who is a bolder, more self-assured girl, and her family has just moved to town under questionable circumstances, and I guess she needs friends, but, she fits in pretty easily with the clique, and nonetheless is warm toward Iris, and now Iris begins to find herself. This is one of those butterflies coaxed from cocoons movies, secrets are revealed, and then, of course, the shit hits the fan. It's kind of a formula, but it's done with heart. And stark but nice cinematography and really good performances by Cara Hayward as Iris and Liana Liberato as Maggie. And of course the usual dominoes fall. In an interesting bit of casting, Iris's dad is played by Shea Wiggum from Boardwalk Empire. He usually plays a tough guy, but he shows a little warmth here. And Maggie's parents are played by Malin Ackerman from the movie version of Watchmen, and this is the really cool casting against type. Tony Hale, who you may know from Veep as the haplessly goofy sidekick to Julia Louis-Dreyfus's Selena Myers, He plays Maggie's dad, and he's kind of a prick. But in any event, this could be what people call a chick flick, but as coming-of-age movies go, it was really pretty good. And, I cared about the characters, and that says a lot. Finally, in terms of new films, I love a good foodie movie, and Abe is one that mixes in family drama and transcends both genres by actually being about culture clash in a very organic way. Abe is 12 years old. He's a wannabe chef living in modern-day New York City, and his father is an atheist Palestinian-American, and his mother is a somewhat more devout Jewish Israeli-American. So, yeah, you see where this is going. It's a recipe, for family conflict whenever the grandparents get together in the same room. So Abe hates this, and he wants to bring everybody together through feeding them culinary creations that are developed by his apprenticeship under a cool street food vendor named Chico. It's not going to be easy bringing years of ingrained animosity to an end. Anyway, nice work from Brazilian filmmaker Fernando Grostin Andrade. Occasionally you catch up to stuff and you're like, what the hell is this? And I stumbled upon a movie called Plus One, again available online and for streaming. I caught up to it, and it's a damn fine rom-com from last year about two recently singled college friends, Ben and Alice, who decide to escort one another to the summer's string of weddings as everybody around them is getting married. I mean, the idea is that they can be wingman and wingwoman to one another in the hopes of hooking up with some real love, and the twosome are played by a couple of showbiz legacy kids, Jack Quaid, who's the son of actors Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan, and Maya Erskine, daughter of jazz drummer Peter Erskine, and they are both really good, especially Maya Erskine, who is a genuine find. I mean, she's brash, sometimes profane, but totally lovable. I really enjoyed this, and it avoided feeling like a retread, even if it seems like a trifle. I mean, it had honest moments about modern relationships and the wavering line between friendship and love. It would be unfair to dismiss it like, a typical one of these movies. Plus One, pretty cool. What are you watching, man?
Nothing. Just watching what's available and what's around. We've got What We Do in the Shadows is back for another season. That's always a treat to look forward to.
I love that show.
And let me see here. That's about it. Not much. Not much. Marjorie is down to watching a Mexican telenovela.
Wow.
That's how bad things have gotten.
Whoa. Now, do either of you guys like the Downton Abbey style shows?
Yes, and we've been watching that really rather boring thing they're doing called what's it? The title of it again?
Belgravia on Epix.
Yeah, it's boring.
You're not buying it. I actually got caught up in it, and I'm on board with it. It's by the same creator of Downton Abbey, and it's a one-off. I believe it's a one-off because it's based on his novel Belgravia, and it's set in a posh London neighborhood during the Industrial Revolution. And for those of you who are curious about, hooks here, Tamsin Greig plays one of the older characters, the wife of an industrialist, and she's best known from her comedic roles on Episodes. And Tom Wilkinson, Mr. Gravitas himself, plays the father of some aristocratic lineage. And, by the way, if you have HBO on demand and you haven't watched The Plot Against America, it wrapped up, and it is absolutely worth your time. We talked about it before on this segment, and I think it's just
we were somewhat disappointed with the ending.
Well, yeah, I mean, it seems to just sort of, first off, I thought it was an incredibly exciting ending, but what ends up going down at the very end is open-ended. That's all I'll say about it. I don't believe the book itself, written by Philip Roth, is as open-ended as the TV show. Well, you know why it's open.
You know why it's open-ended. I mean, this was listed as just a limited series. But so was one other thing that HBO did, and they, if they're successful, they want to bring them back.
And they're not going to do that with this. This is seriously.
There are rumors. No, there are rumors they are going to bring it back.
Oh my God! There's no point to it. Again, when I say open-ended, I mean you can draw your own conclusions.
They say that what they're going to do with the show is they're going to have another hypothetical situation. They're going to create another hypothetical situation.
Oh, it's going to be the plot against England? What are they going to do?
Well, plot against America, but, a different set of circumstances and a different alternate universe, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, so it turns out that Washington is, in fact, a Native American, and they're going to see how that plays out.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I don't know. Have you watched one more thing? Have you watched Run, which is
yes.
on HBO every Sunday? Any thoughts on that?
Boring.
I'm going to see where it goes, but it's Domhnall Gleeson and Merritt Weaver as a couple reconnecting years after a youthful romance, and it's produced by Phoebe Waller-Bridge of Fleabag. So
all she does is produce these things, and that's the hook that they have on it. But she has nothing to do with the show.
I believe she shows up in person soon.
Well, that doesn't matter. She has nothing to do with the show. She just
she's the producer. She brought the talent together.
She's an
Come
executive.
On, we'll see. I'm going to give it a chance. But anyway,
she's an executive. She's an executive.
Blaster.
She's an executive producer.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, well, executive producer many times just is an honorary title they give you. So.
Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes she's a little more hands-on. I believe she's actually a character on the show. We will see. If you like Fleabag, give this a chance. It's called
If you
Run.
like Fleabag, this has nothing in common with Fleabag.
Except it's snarky. So snark.
Well, there's a lot of snark out there, but I'm saying it's no Fleabag. Okay.
Well, hey, what is anyway? No, anyway, you can check me out on Twitter and on Facebook at.
Wait a minute. Let me start running the theme here so we can. We won't go long on the theme. Yes. Where can they find you?
Again, Twitter at Culture
wait.
Blast.
Hold on a second. I want to stop the music a second because I wanted to discuss something with you. The future of movie theaters.
Oh, interesting thought.
Yeah.
It looks bleak.
It looks like they're dead. And I'll tell you why they're dead. Something happened in the last couple of weeks that showed the movie business the future. And that was, oddly enough, the Trolls World Tour.
90 million plus, right?
On demand. Okay? Right. Doing better than they felt they would ever do in their first run in a movie theater. And it sort of leads the way for them to say, what do we need the movie theaters for? Why should people have to pay that kind of money to go out and pay for popcorn and pay for traveling there and pay for a family of four and blah, 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 on and on and on, when they can sit at home and for $20 the whole family can gather around and watch this movie. And they have done better business on demand. In fact, it's the number one on-demand film of all time than they could have done in the theaters. So I think they're starting to rethink it. And now certain producers are saying we refuse to do business with Universal because if they're going to do this kind of releasing, we don't want to be part of their family. And so they're getting the producers of the film are getting a little snarky about this, as are the theaters who are threatening, well, we'll boycott your films if you start doing this after. And the movie companies are just going, fuck you. We don't have to send out hard drives. We don't have to do the kind of advertising we have to do. That we can put all that advertising on local pay-per-view channels and get the word out that way. It's going to change the whole movie business. I'm not going to a theater and sit next to somebody else. Are you?
Well, no, hell no. Certainly not unless they're wearing not just a surgical mask. I need people to be in one of those
hazmat
underwater sea helmet thingies,
Yeah. I mean, the movie theaters are through. People are not going to do that.
We'll see. I think one of the things that you got to remember, though, is, the adaptability of humanity and the fact, let me just put it out there, there is something to be said for the immersive nature of a gigantic screen when you're at a big movie theater. But yes, there are now going to be issues that have cropped up in the past couple months. I have a
65-inch TV set. I lie in bed. I'm very close to it. It's immersive.
Okay, however, anyway, the point is we have a lot of circumstances that were unexpected that are going to be changing culture in a lot of ways unless this thing can be totally snuffed and promised, and unless the scientists and doctors can promise we're not going to have another one of these things crop up in 6 months, which is not something they can do. I'm not going to say the genie's out of the lamp, but, we are in circumstances that we have heretofore never dealt with. And I mean, I'm okay, and apparently you're okay, but that's because we have been.
I haven't gone out. I haven't gone out in 6 weeks.
Right, there you go. Well, I've definitely gone out to the store and what have you, but I've been incredibly careful.
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, I'm wishing everybody good health, and we'll see how things play out, basically.
Yeah. And tell them where they can find you, Michael.
Again, I am on Twitter at Culture Blaster and on Facebook at Michael Snyder's Culture Blast page.
Yeah.
And, I will be back on GABNet, hopefully soon. We'll see what more movies and ideas we can rustle up.
And for the rest of you, there's more GABNet coming right up, so stay where you are.